What is up, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, and you are listening to The Hosts. Welcome, everybody. Another episode of The Host. I think this is number 3 or 2. This is 2 if you're keeping track. I'm getting 0 mixed up with that. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Today we have 3 hosts with me. Antonio could not be with us tonight. I hope everything gets sorted out for him very soon and all that good stuff. But that aside, I want to throw it to my good friend Mark Carabin. How are you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, you can find me on the Warp Whistle podcast. It's a weekly Nintendo podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, all those, Google Play, all those places. And you can find us on our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Warp Whistle Gaming.
Very nice, very nice. James.
What is up, sir?
I don't know that I want to mess with your last name, but
that's okay.
But I think I want to because I know Sean's yelling at me right now as he's listening and telling me to try it.
He gets it right every time.
I know.
And we all love how much you screw up names.
But the mess up part is when I'm off the air, when it's me and Sean talking, I nail it every time.
Uh-huh.
But then when I have to record it, I screw it up every time. Mikolawkewski.
Nope. Mikolawkewski.
Pretty close. I was close. Yeah. That's all that matters. Go ahead.
Just think of it this way: Michael the Jet Ski.
There you go.
And then just kind of change it a little.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll just call you Michael the Jet Ski for now on. That's it.
Yeah, that's.
I think he's got to change his Twitter name.
You got Thomas the Tank Engine and Michael the Jet Ski.
That's it. Mikey the Jet Ski. That's what I'm going to call you for now. Mikey the Jet Ski.
I apologize, James. I just set him off on a bad path.
That's okay.
After the bad path, you and Dave got me started before the show even started. I don't hear nothing.
We're talking about drywall some more?
Exactly. James, let everybody know where they can find your show and find you and everything that you do on the interwebs.
Sure. I am the captain on a little cruise of video game awesomeness known as The Life of Gaming. We go up every Sunday. We just got done with our E3 predictions. But you can find our podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud, Google Play Store, all those places. We're up on Facebook and on Twitter at Life of Gaming Pod.
Thanks. See, now, this is where a typical host that doesn't know you would just stop and let it keep going. But I know you have something new in the works. Why don't you tell us about that? Because that's what everybody really wants to hear. They don't care about that Life of Gaming stuff.
It's not that new. It's actually kind of more of a reboot.
Yes.
Chris and I were talking because you recently launched a brand new show.
Yes.
The Nintendo PlayStation podcast.
Yes.
And we're like, but where's the Xbox love? There's no Xbox love.
No.
Show,
that's not why you started. Don't even try that. Don't even try that.
But what we're doing back in October, Chris and I thought, we both love Xbox. We wanted to talk about some Xbox stuff. So we came up with the show called The Xbox Dive. And we tried it out. We kind of tested it out for a few weeks. And then life got busy and we couldn't really build a schedule. Yeah. But now, after E3, because obviously there's going to be so much information, so much news to talk about, we're going to be kicking off our show, The Xbox Dive. You can find us actually right now. You can actually find our old YouTube videos from October. Look up the Xbox Dive. We already have a channel, Facebook page, Twitter at the Xbox Dive. We're all over the place. We are ready to roll. Yeah. And I know Chris just set up the Facebook group today. So nice. Actually started next week. So
that's awesome.
Get ready for some Xbox goodness.
Well, to answer your question before we begin, because you asked where the Xbox love is, I think Phil Spencer asks that question every day, more or less. So we'll go with that one. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm starting to drift a little bit towards the Xbox way. So hopefully Scorpio knocks my socks off and makes me pony up the money.
Price is really gonna set that for a lot of people.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sitting there and I keep thinking to myself, like, does it really matter? I'm going to want the biggest. I'm going to want the best. Why am I going to play around with this nonsense and get like an S when I'm gonna want the Scorpio. You know what I mean? Like whatever the Scorpio is, I know unless this thing's like $1,000. That's the only thing that's kind of got. But then I go to my head, I go, I got plenty of time. I could save for it. It ain't a big deal. It ain't like they're gonna sell out of them. There're gonna be plenty of them on the shelves if it's $1,000. So, David Moore,
what's up, Bobby?
how you doing, sir?
You know, I'm here.
Okay, why don't you tell
Hanging
everybody
out.
where they can find you at when you're not falling through the floor in your basement? let them know where they can find you at.
I run the Dacespace Podcast Network.
Yes.
It's available at dacespace.com. It hosts a ton of shows, including Bobby's shows, which is most important. But I've been doing a show since 2012 called Character Crunch, where we talk about like geeky, nerdy stuff. It's really me and my best friend just hanging out at this point. That's the show.
Yeah.
But I also started a new show. My co-host Johnny Casino doing Forget Being Cool, which is our morning show for the Dacespace Podcast Network. That's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It rotates. Sometimes it'll be evenings, but it's really fun. We're trying to cover a wide range of topics and kind of just be like that centerpiece to the morning. Yeah. Right. Like we want to be that commuting podcast.
That's pretty cool. So. Well, the nice thing is like it's morning everywhere sometime. So you can just stay morning all the time. Like you can be a morning,
Bobby.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
it's
matter.
Morning somewhere.
It's morning somewhere. That's what you say.
When we do the night show, it's going to be like 4 a.m. Toby's time. Like that's
that's all right. It's fine.
That's morning.
He'll wake up and listen. It's cool. So, Dave, while I
have
got
a 5-minute commute, so that's your show is just not going to work.
Exactly.
That's a week's worth of commute, and then you have 3 per week. I'm going to fall behind on this show.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's all right, but that's okay.
Then you get to work and you can turn it on. You're good to go. It's fine.
No, I actually listen to podcasts at work. That's how I try to keep up as much as I can. So I listened to yours actually today. Going to work some of the afternoon, and then on my way home, I finished it.
See, look at I got to occupy your entire day. Yeah. This is my goal. It's not a morning show. It's a whole day show. And it's Dave, 3 days of your week.
Dave, while I have you talking, Dave, why don't you tell me, because I'm curious, what got you into podcasting? What made you want to start podcasting?
So I started out making YouTube videos like in 2007. I started putting up videos every single day. Wow. I vlogged every single day for like 2 years.
Holy cow.
Those videos are on the internet. Don't find them.
I'm going to find them. Now that you said that, I'm going to find them.
You guys in a bit.
They're all awful. I've actually still got hair in some of them. You know, this is the thing. So I did that, and I went to school, and I'm like, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm going to go get a degree in digital video filmmaking. They're like, well, yeah, you need to pick an elective. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I'll pick an elective. So I see this radio class, internet radio production. And I'm like, God, I've been listening to podcasts for years. I listened to Harry Potter's Mugglecast. They're jerks. Cough, cough. But it's a story for another day. But I'm like, I would love to do talk radio. Like, I think it would be one of the funnest things to do, especially considering like I don't have any experience really doing this. Mm-hmm. I started DJing like 3 nights a week on the station, doing live music on a show called Flash Storage that absolutely nobody listened to, 0 people. And I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do a talk show with my friend, call him Character Crunch, which we've been doing since 2012. Oh, wow. But the co-host has changed since then. We're still doing it, but it's different. Yeah. And I was doing that show once a week on that station live for a while. And if you listen to the early episodes, I say, brought to you in part by the Tri-C Radio, the voice of Cuyahoga Community College, because I didn't go to real college.
Better college than I went to, so there you go. That's
I got two fake degrees. I'm a certified editor, and I built the website, some time into Character Crunch, saying I was building a podcast network. I built it with the intention of this wasn't going to be just me doing this one show. Yeah. I never wanted it to be me doing this one show. Yeah. And recently we've started growing, and it's super exciting. But I did a rhythm gaming show for 2 years. That was awesome. That started my following. Nobody listened to Character Crunch before Living Room Clutter. Like nobody, period. Nobody, and no listeners. Yeah. But it was something I loved doing. And I've been doing it since. And I keep doing new shows and experimenting. And I've made a bunch of amazing friends, like everybody sitting in this room right now. So. the Skype
easy with the friend, throwing the friend word around, all right? An acquaintance is probably the best you're gonna get. Friend is a little strong.
What is Bobby gonna introduce me when we start a show? Because Bobby can't stop doing shows, and neither can I. So at some point in time,
you know we're gonna do an Amiibo show, right? You know that's coming down the wire. Like that's where it's going. Me and Dave cannot be trusted at 1 a.m. on a Skype call. We start ordering Amiibo and stuff.
Amiibo show?
That should just be, just the 1 a.m. podcast and just the ramblings of you guys at 1 a.m.
Amiibo sickness.
Yes, exactly. James, let me know, because honestly, you were the first person that ever got me the podcast, ever. And that was because you had me on as a guest. When I was a little known
episode
guy.
number 2, man.
Yes, a little known guy is the Geek Guru. You invited me to come on your show, and I was honored, and I was like, this is amazing, and I loved it. I fell in love with it ever since. But what got you, and what made you decide, like, this is something I want to jump into and I want to start doing?
Sure. Well, first, everyone that's addicted to all his different shows, I want to apologize. It's my fault, so I'm sorry. Well, no, actually, the whole reason the podcast started, I think we passed 2.5 years now. We've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
We're about to hit episode, I think, 80. Of course, our episodes are a little bit farther behind everybody else's, even though we've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
Because we started bi-weekly, just because of schedules and time like that. And so we were bi-weekly for a while. We're now every week, but so our numbers seem shorter than what they are. Yeah. But the whole reason we started doing the podcast, once you grow up and start living an adult life, you don't really have as much time to sit around with your friends and talk about video games. Especially like, Brant, my co-host, when it started, it was just me and him. And he lives a good 2 hours away now. Him and his wife moved, and we didn't really talk that much outside of, playing video games. So we're like, we were talking and we'd have conversations about E3. We'd have conversations about the different events going on just in the video game world. And we're like, we should record this. This would be awesome, And at the time, we were thinking about at the time.
I'm so sorry.
Not a problem, man.
Anyway, listen. Go right now. Go to youtube.com/Nintendo Gurus and watch the video of Dave trying to be nonchalant, back out of the video, like yelling his dogs or whatever. That's the funniest thing.
Slowly sneaking out, and the giant panda comes into view with the stupid guitar.
Oh God! I'm sorry, James. Go ahead. Continue your story, James.
No, not a problem. But we started the show. And a lot of it was, originally it was going to be like a console wars show. We had one person representing Xbox, one person PlayStation, one person Nintendo. And now it's kind of funny because I'm starting the Xbox show, but at the time, I was the Nintendo guy on the show.
Yeah. Listen, that was very loose too.
Right. No, I still absolutely love Nintendo. I still think they make the best games. I'm just spending a lot more time, in the Xbox ecosystem now, which,
absolutely.
I could have a whole episode of a show just on that. But another thing, growing up, adulting, money, time, can only invest in one thing. And right now, most of my time and money is going into my Xbox.
Yeah.
But over time, the show sort of evolved, and we kept waiting on my brother-in-law, Matt. He was the one we were waiting on, and he just couldn't have time. He's a teacher, and, he's got a kid, and, he's married. And so Brant and I were like, we're just going to start it ourselves, and, he can join us eventually. And along the way, it was just kind of, bringing different guests on and meeting new people like you, Bobby, and Mark. Like we had both you on the show in the early days and had you back, multiple times. Mm-hmm. It's been a lot of fun, and we just enjoy doing it because, one of these things is like not one of the things you're going to get famous doing, but we just enjoy meeting great people. And once you start podcasting, it's kind of hard to stop because like Bobby, obviously you're a great example of this. You started podcasting and now you start another show and you start another show and you start another show. And it's like because there's so many great topics to cover and there's so many interesting people to meet that once you start doing it, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah, I agree. The other person that got me into podcasting, Mark Carabin, let them know, if you don't mind, what got you going? What was the start of the Warp Whistle? Where did you, what created all this and got you going?
Well, before I go on that, I think James and I owe the internet and the world a 2-part apology. James, you start.
You know what, man?
You got him as a guest host. I encouraged him. I gave him some technical tips, and it's just been.
And now I handed him hosting.
Yes,
right.
The three of you.
The Triforce of Bobby's podcasting power, and the
unholy
Bobby
trinity of Bobby's podcasting right here. There you go.
Calamity Bobby.
Yes.
Slowly taking over. So yeah, I got my start in podcasting actually around 2010. So
really?
we started. We started. We did only a couple of episodes, so we didn't get past that 10 episode mark that everyone says, you make it past 10 and you'll keep going. So this was university ish, and there were, I think, 4 or 5 of us involved. My brother was one of them, and we tried to cover everything. So that was kind of where I got the name for Joystick Monkey from. That's what I use on PlayStation and online and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of my persona-esque thing, is the Joystick Monkey. But this was the Joystick Monkey podcast.
Oh, wow.
Or Joystick Monkeys, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I just took that as my own.
Yeah.
And we tried to cover everything. It was one of those things, like podcasting was, we were just starting to kind of get into it. It was kind of starting to gain some roots, and gain some popularity. And we covered everything from video games to technology. I remember one of our first episodes, we speculated about what the iPad was going to be. And
it's a big iPod Touch. That's all it is.
And that's basically it. We were trying to think of where this could fit in, because there were a lot of rumors and stuff. And so that was the technology side. And then we started talking, and we had like a website and the whole nine. We did reviews for games, for iOS games, technology reviews, all that kind of stuff. And it ended up kind of, people lost interest, and I started writing a lot more of the stuff. And then I started saying I don't feel like renewing, paying for this stuff. And everything just kind of went to the wayside there. But I still always wanted to podcast. And the same bug bit my brother. So he got together with a group of friends of his and started the BFGC podcast. And they kind of do generally geeky stuff. So they'll cover TV, movies, video games, even sports and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So they just kind of cover a wide gamut. And that's basically just when they get together, they usually try to get together once a week, and they basically just record their ramblings.
Yeah.
So they stopped for a little bit. The band kind of broke up. Now they're getting most of the guys back together, and they just launched. Right now it's called BFGC 2.0.
Yeah.
So you can find that on iTunes. A little plug for my brother there. But after that, Colin kind of got the itch and wanted to focus a little bit more. And I've been dying to try to get something going. And I'd been bugging him, and he just kind of said, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's focus on something. And we both went down like a list of topics that we wanted to talk about. And Nintendo was the one thing that we really had in common, that we knew every time we got together, no matter what we were talking about, it would turn to Nintendo. And whether it was stuff from our past, stuff that's happening now, stuff that we wanted to see from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where the Warp Whistle came from. We started thinking of ideas probably around the summer, and started thinking about a third podcast host, and had one kind of interested and ready to go. And he was in a car accident and passed away in November of that year. And then so we kind of scrapped it for a bit, put it on the back burner, and started the podcast in February, 2 years ago. So we've been going ever since. So that's that.
That's you hit me with that, and I was just like, oh, like that got
dramatic.
Like, yeah, man, it like hit me from left field, man. I know the story. I mean, I it's not like I don't know the story, but it's still not, That's the first time you've actually said it with me listening, and I'm like there, and I'm like, ooh.
The first time I had Bobby on as a guest on one of my shows, he came in and told like the story about how a dog died. I don't remember the details of this story, but we were all just sitting there like, oh, and we hadn't started recording yet. I'm like, now we went into this really awkward moment of like, Bobby like completely derailed this show, and I'm like, oh god, and I'm trying to like recover this entire podcast, and Bobby's like,
so is that what the beginning of this show was all about? You were paying me back for the time I was in the show?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it awkward, Bobby. That's why I leave pandas in the background.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of distraction.
So the idea behind this show and the way this all came about was it was a way for me to hang out with a lot of my friends that are on the internet and do hosting and do podcasts. But I thought it was a way to get people to see a different side of us. Every time they hear us, it's always talking about video games and that nonsense when we're tweeting about video games or we're posting about video games. And I thought, let me try to create something a little different. And it's a way to help us also promote shows and all that good stuff. So what we typically do is we ask each host that comes on the show to bring a topic. At this point, I will ask each one to read off the topics or the topic that they brought, and then
we're supposed to write it down.
No, you're just supposed to read it.
I'm not prepared.
And
I don't think I have a pen on my desk anymore. It's 2017.
Okay, Dave,
I wrote mine down in Notepad. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I didn't say I was going first, Bobby. That's not what I agreed to.
Just tell me what the topic is. Just tell me what your topic is for the show.
So you do this brilliant thing, Bobby, on this show, and you introduce everybody by asking them where they got started. But there's a more interesting concept here, is that it's what keeps every podcaster who's doing a show doing it. All of us have been doing it for a very long time, which I think is really good, except for Bobby. Bobby's still new. He's a newbie. He's only been doing it for like 100 episodes of
2 years, man. Come on, that's a long time.
Nothing. I've been doing it for like 5 years. But the point of this is that I guess the big question is like we talk about how like our audience means a lot to us and stuff, but I want to know like what keeps you as a podcaster, like what drives you every day to want to do your show, especially with me starting a show that I'm doing 3 days a week.
Yeah. And
people are like, you're gonna get burned out. I'm like, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely love it. So I'm curious. I want to talk about what keeps this going.
What keeps you going in podcasting? That's a good question. James, what topic do you have for us?
Sure. We're always talking about video games, so I thought I'd bring up a topic about movies. Recently, my wife and I went to the theater and we saw Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, I've always enjoyed the pirate movies. Right. And I thought overall the movie was decent and it tied up the series actually really well. But I was thinking they've gone on for too long. Right. And so I was thinking, what is a series, either a TV show or a movie series you love, but it's gone too far? Like they should have stopped it a while ago. Just out of curiosity. Yeah. What's a movie series that you love, but either they need to stop now or, the next one, it's
that's a good one too. Okay, Mark, what is the one topic that you
Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you back up slowly,
if you back up slowly out of the screen, I hear that the dog will stop barking. I don't know. So
the one topic that I'm going to bring. It's funny because you guys both touched on things that I had thought about and similar things. So I was going to pick something related to movies, but I'm not. I'm going to leave that with James.
Thanks.
Mine was more about movie universes, so I'm gonna skip that.
That would fire Bobby up too much. We can't talk about how much better Marvel is.
Don't get started.
Don't worry, that was not going to be it. I might save that for another day, so I won't spoil it now. So I'm going to talk about Dave. I think you touched on this a little bit in your topic, or when you started introducing your topic, and you said we all talk about video games. It's cool that we all do that, but I want to know, and I think listeners, a lot of us, we've been going for years, right? People listen to us every week. They listen to us on multiple shows. We've been guests on other shows, and I feel when I listen to podcasts, I kind of know you guys. You know, I know. I think this is one of the first times Dave and I have actually talked face to face. We've talked through various channels, but I feel like I know you because I've listened to Shelved and Forgotten. I listened to your new show. I've listened to a bunch of different things that you've done. James and Bobby, you know, same kind of thing. But I want to know, and I think listeners might be interested in knowing, what are some other things that maybe hidden talents or hidden interests that nobody knows about, that you don't talk about, but is something that if you were not allowed to talk about video games or things that you already talk about in a podcast, what would you do? Yeah. What else would you do? Is there another thing that you know well enough that you could podcast about it?
God, you guys are killing me now. This is where I need Antonio to come in now and tell me what he would do. So
it's easy.
I know Antonio. Okay, so I know Antonio likes to go with the heavy stuff first and then the light stuff last. So if that's the case, we're going to go with James last, just because that's a light-hearted thing. Sure. And then the heavier stuff comes between Mark and Dave, and they're kind of equal, really, the way they are. So I want to go with...
We can start with Mark, because I don't have any hidden talents.
Yeah, you have 16 podcasts about every single topic you're interested in.
Let's go with the hidden talents one first. We'll go with the hidden talents one first, then we'll move into Dave's topic, and we have enough time, we'll go into James's topic. So hidden talents and I'll roll with myself first since I'm already talking. But for myself, I draw. I love to draw. And I don't know how many people know how much I love to draw. I don't do it as much as I used to. I used to have a webcomic back when you guys were all podcasting all the time. Back in 2010, I had a webcomic that I drew every single day, posted on the internet. I did it for about 4 years. And it was actually, I started 2008 and I went till 2011. I ended sometime after 9/11, maybe 6 months after 9/11, and it had nothing to do with 9/11. It made me stop. It was just, that's the time frame. At the time, I was engaged to a woman from Mississippi, and I was planning on moving to Mississippi. And there's a saying in the South, you know, someone from the North is a Yankee. Someone that moves to the South from the North, or moves to the South from the North, is a damn Yankee. So I started this comic strip called Damn Yankee, and it was basically loosely about my life with me moving to Mississippi and all these different things and all these different antics that were going to take place. And then, as it was weird, is in the comic, I'm living in Mississippi, but I never moved. I wound up splitting up with her because she was cheating on me with her boss. And whole different story, different times. That's craziness. How I found out is even worse. But so what happens is
we can laugh about it now, right?
Bobby? I can laugh about it now. Trust me, it was amazing.
My gosh.
It was amazing
because you have a lovely wife now, so we can laugh about it.
I'm in a much better place. Trust me. So what happens is I'm drawing this thing every single day, and I'm in the comic strip. I'm living in Mississippi, and I start importing family members down, slowly but surely, and the comic is basically my family living in Mississippi, more or less. That's how it basically works out to be. I don't really give preference or explain preface. I don't preface it to why that's happening, but it just happens, you know what I mean? But for 4 years, I did it every single day. Every single day, I posted a comic Monday through Sunday. I actually submitted the comic strip to newspapers. Actually, syndicates is what they call them. You can't apply right to a newspaper. You have to go to a syndicate. Mm-hmm. The Washington Post Writers Group, they get approximately 5,000 submissions a year. Out of those 5,000 submissions, they take 100 of them, and they ask them to apply to this other thing. And then out of the 100, they take 5. I submitted, and I was one of the 100 that they were actually looking at to picking up and going. And what they do is they bring you into this program, and they cultivate you. And at the end of the year, either they sign you or they don't. They really didn't sign many people out of that. But there was a lot of people that they brought in, and just the fact that I got looked at was kind of awesome. You know, I just was like, wow, this is amazing that I got looked at. Found out later on, my biggest mistake was me and my dad went and we built this gigantic, not a gigantic, but it was a book. And it was basically you flip through and it shows you each character and gives a brief description of them, but it was all bound. It was in this hard, like a hard plastic, and like we cut, like what we did was we had a black cover and we cut out the logo. So when you looked at the book, it was a cutout, and you could see the logo of the comic, and you flipped it, and it was a first page. Come to find out, it's the worst thing you could do. The minute an editor sees a book like that, they toss it away. Because they think you're a diva, they think you're arrogant, they think you're too high on a horse, and they go, he takes himself too serious, he's not going to be able to take criticisms, we don't want to talk to him. And that's what I had heard, that's the first thing they do, is they push them to the side and don't do that. It's a mistake. Just take the pages they're asking for, put them in a yellow envelope, put your name, a cover letter, and send it. And I had no idea. So we spent all this money, all this time building these books, and it did. But again, Washington Post Writers Group did take a look at me and go there. So that's my hidden talent, or my secret talent, is art. So, Mark, since it's your question, I want to throw it to you.
All right. Well, I don't know about hidden talent-wise. Not many people know that
This is your question. How do you ask this question? And I haven't. I'm going to ask about hidden talent. I don't have one, but I'm going to ask about hidden talent.
I wanted to know yours. I don't care about myself.
Well, there's somebody out there that wants to know about yours. So,
all right. Well,
I got a hidden talent that people might not know about Mark Carabin. Actually, anybody who knows Mark Carabin knows this hidden talent. It isn't really hidden. It's the master of puns. This dude will pun everything in the world. It is the most obnoxious and annoying and cute thing in the world. It's amazing.
That's not hidden, Bobby. I wear that very
I know you do. I know you do.
I had a pin right here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Reggie has his little Metroid pin. I just have one that says like puns.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Pin.
What's your hidden talent?
Awesome. Not a lot of people know. I used to sing a lot and play guitar and stuff. I used to open and play with a few bands, and had a few friends that were in bands and stuff that I'd follow around and open for and that kind of stuff. I entered a couple of singing competitions. I won one of them. This is all in university kind of time, and I don't sing in public much anymore. Aside from in the car and in the shower, but not many people know that. It's something that I just
that's different.
Yeah, and not many people know that I do
I've known you for a couple years, and I never knew that you could sing.
Yeah.
So when you decided to play the Magikarp jump song, why didn't you just sing it yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know it. My brother told me about it.
Yeah, but you could have practiced. By the time it was
you could have practiced it. You could have tacked it on the end of the show, and
I
then
suppose so. Literally, so instead of downloading that song and trying to find it and stuff, little peek behind the curtain, I have a program that'll just record audio from any single source. So that's how I record guest spots for the podcast and all that kind of stuff. Grab it straight from YouTube or from Skype. So I used that on YouTube and recorded the Magikarp song. So the first time I actually heard it was when I was recording it. I finished recording it, tagged it on the end of the episode, and uploaded it. So definitely,
I'm gonna help you before we leave today, Mark, on how to help you download YouTube videos.
Listen, this is what we're gonna. No.
I didn't want to download the video. I just wanted the audio.
No. What we're gonna do is, you're gonna make a promise right now that on the next episode of Warp Whistle, you will actually sing the song at the end of the episode.
No chance.
James.
That's
not.
Nope, he's not done.
I thought you were done.
He has more talents than singing.
I don't even care. No, I was gonna say another thing that I'm thinking about doing a podcast this summer, and it's completely unrelated. And that's actually what got me thinking about this topic was a lot of the podcasters that I talk to and a lot of this community were all video game fans. And one thing I've been researching lately, and Bobby, I think I told you about this. But you're one of the few people that I have told is where I live. There's a lot of pirate culture. There's a lot of, it's a coastal community. There were a ton of pirates around here in and around Atlantic Canada and that kind of stuff. And the more I research stuff, the more like hidden treasures and pirate myths and all this kind of stuff I've been finding. So right now, like before this episode started, I actually have 5 different tabs open on my Safari. I've been getting like 3 or 4 books a week from the library. And all of this stuff is like old articles, like old books. Like one of the books I found is from like the 1700s that I'm just trying to read through and like piece together all these pieces of like Atlantic Canadian pirate history and hidden treasure and like all this kind of like Nathan Drake-esque
You should call
stuff.
the podcast I Know the Secret of One-Eyed Willie. That should be the podcast. And you can call yourself Chester Copper. Was it Chester Copperpot?
Chester Copperpot.
Yeah, there you go. That can be your name.
You missed your opportunity to show up next to the Pirates movie, though.
Yeah.
Well, yes. It's mine's gonna be better. I hope.
I'm 100% sure it'll be better than any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, except
and a little
maybe
bit,
the first one.
And a little bit more, hopefully, real than those. As entertaining as the first one was. But that's basically the concept I'm going with. Is I think it's going to be like short episodic season kind of thing. So it's not going to be an ongoing thing. I'm thinking 10 to 12 episodes.
You gonna do pirate voices? This is the biggest question at the top of my voice. You gonna go interview them because I want interviews. I want pirate interviews.
Well, the pirates are all dead around here unless and if there's any real pirates, I don't want to talk to them.
I want pirate culture interviews with people who are culturally into pirates. I guess.
Oh, you will definitely. If I have some interviews that I want to pursue, and I'm sure a few of them will have very thick accents from the Canadian East Coast. You'll hear some stuff, I'm sure. But that's something I'm working on that's completely unrelated and is a completely different interest of mine. And that's actually where this idea came from.
Cool. That's very cool.
But there we go. So sorry, James, I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to kind of soft launch the idea for that podcast here to you.
So James,
sure. Yeah.
Now, what is your hit? Can I throw a stab at it?
Sure.
Is it that you could play music?
Well, yeah. Over here, I don't know if you can see, I've got a bass and 3 guitars sitting over here. A guitar amp back there. Yeah. I've got 3 more guitars at my parents', a banjo, a keyboard, a drum set. This actually right here was from my recording studio. Oh, wow. I used to record music. Actually, Brant, my co-host on Life Gaming, was the drummer in our band.
Oh, jeez.
That explains it. No.
Like Mark, I used to sing all the time. Until within the last few years, I've had a lot of acid reflux problems, and so it's given me this kind of gruff, raspy voice. But I'm actually on the road to recovery now, which is nice. I'm trying to get rid of
metal, man. Screamo metal. You got this. Screamo metal.
Get there. So, yeah, I used to sing all the time. My main instrument is guitar. Actually, in high school, I used to play trumpet. Right, I played trumpet from 3rd grade till about 9th grade, and then when you play a musical instrument like a trumpet, it uses a lot of air. Mm-hmm. It causes pressure in your ears, right? And I kept popping my right eardrum all the time, popping all the time. And so I went to the doctor. This is actually an interesting story. It's a little tangent here. I went to the doctor, and that's when they found out I had a cholesteatoma growing in my right ear. And so that's when I was 15, that's when I had 3 ear surgeries. I had to cut out all the hearing bones and all that stuff. And so now I've got a piece of titanium in my ear to replace my hearing bones, but I've got like 20% hearing in my right ear now.
Dude, Wolverine.
But to get back into that, that's when I picked up guitar. Couldn't play trumpet anymore.
Yeah.
And so also, very odd tangent side note, in junior high school, I was the ska kid. So part of the reason playing trumpet, right? Used to love my ska music. But I picked up guitar from there. And over time, picked up bass, and like I said, I've even got a banjo. Like I'm just interested. I just love music in general.
Wow.
I listen to almost any type of music. I like learning any kind of instrument. So I couldn't really turn a podcast into that. But I guess as far as hidden talent,
here's my question. Here's my question.
That was it overall, like podcast or hidden talent, whatever it was.
But here's my question for you. So you played the trumpet for a long time. many years. What's the transition or the difficulty, the transition going from a trumpet to a guitar?
It's completely different.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be difficult, right?
Not even close. And the funny thing is, I mean, with guitar, you're reading tab, where with, or you're reading tab. Where with on trumpet, I'm reading, actual music notes on scales and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that anymore. Like, it's been so long since I've had to look at sheets of music. Like, I don't know if I can do that anymore.
That's amazing. That's pretty.
But yeah,
pretty cool.
it's totally different. And the funny thing was, they told me when I started playing guitar, I wouldn't be able to play because my fingers were too short. But I've got like really long fingers now, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, you're good to go. just had to
So how many instruments have you played, or do you play in total? Because I knew you were kind of like musical. I had no idea.
I thought it was guitar. That's it. I didn't realize. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I played trumpet and guitar, and like with the bass. When my grandpa on my dad's side, when he passed away, I got his electric bass. He was into music a lot. He actually played harmonica and played bass guitar, so I got his bass guitar.
Yeah.
So I started recording with that, because one thing I haven't done in a long time, but I used to like to do, just record my own music, right? Lay guitar tracks, bass tracks, keyboard. All these instruments I learned out of necessity for me wanting to record music.
Oh, wow.
And back then when I was recording my music, this was early 2000s, right? And so it wasn't a lot of computer stuff. I had to, physically play the instruments, record each track individually. Now you can just open up a program, slide stuff around. It's super easy. But back then, I'd lay a guitar track, then I would lay a bass track, then I would lay, I would just go through and do each individual piece.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing.
Wow. Took a lot of time.
That's craziness. Dave.
Now that we're on music, I'll tell you a story about my musical talents.
Oh, good God. That's not what we do. This, no. This is about secret talents.
No, this is about my secret talents. In 5th grade, they allow you to pick an instrument here, right?
Oh, good God.
Okay. And until 8th grade, I decided I was going to play the trombone, right? I don't know why. Picked the trombone. A lot of as much air pushing, probably more than trumpet, right? But still, I was like, I'm going to do this thing, and I thought I was pretty good. I led the band in elementary school. I was doing great. Then I got to middle school, and they combined the bands from like 6 elementary schools, and like now you're not really that tough no more, right? Yeah. You're kind of actually the worst person in the entire band at that point because everybody else gave up who was at my elementary school. So it's probably seventh grade or 8th grade. I'm in band. We're performing. We're practicing, and my band teacher tells me I need to stay after and practice with him. That's fine. I had whatever amount of that time open to practice, right? During this attempt to my band teacher to teach me to play the song that we needed to play in the concert very shortly after, he told me that I sucked so bad that he didn't want me to come to the concert.
Wow. Wow. What? No. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. So immediately...
Grade 7, so you're 13?
Yeah, like 13
12,
years
13?
old.
Oh my God.
And he tells me that I suck so bad that he doesn't want me to come to the concert like that week.
Wow.
And this because he's an uptight asshole.
Holy cow, no kidding.
He thinks he's going to be the greatest band teacher of this little 7th/8th grade class ever. So I proceeded to go to the concert anyway.
Oh.
And play terribly.
On purpose.
Like, overly terribly.
Oh, that's the best.
And then never go back to band ever again.
That is the best.
Switch to Claire.
I love it.
I've never picked up an instrument since because I told I suck so bad.
So essentially, you're Jim from American Pie is what you're telling me. Is that's what your hidden talent is you're Jim from American Pie.
His name was Mr. Griebel.
Good God.
He's the worst band teacher ever. But I guess my hidden talents, I started a lot of shows. I've done a lot of experimental shows. I even did a show called Dead Air where we uploaded ambient sound every week, which is a real thing I put up on the internet. I guess the thing that people don't really know about me is I'm visually impaired. I have a vision disability. I had a seizure when I was like 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So my vision has been terrible, which is why going to film school doesn't really make any sense. I am a certified editor. I have the abilities and the skills to edit, but I'm not by any stretch of the imagination like the best video editor out there, right? So in a super competitive field, like I'm no use. But that's fine. It's totally fine. I like making YouTube videos. I like being part of this community in particular, right? Like this is what I do. But I even started to talk about disabilities at a point, and it's something I would love to bring back at some point if I ever found, like the right co-host.
Yeah.
Because there's something to be said here, Mark, about these, like, we all talk about video games, but like I don't know if any of us are doing in this show is something special, but we're all talking about something more serious and I think more like life-changing. Like I hope somebody listens to this and goes, I've got some hidden talents. Maybe I should use those to do something. Like I've rode ripsticks. I'm pretty good at like skateboarding. Like I am a good skier. These are the things I do.
Yeah.
But like as it stands, like right now, like podcasting and building this website and doing this kind of stuff is like my biggest thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess I learned all those skills in college. Like I took web design coding. Like I know web code. Like I know HTML. I know HTML5. I can write CSS. I don't have to do any of those things because it's 2017. Yeah. But it's something I learned. I learned to do 3D modeling. I'm never going to be good at 3D modeling. But it's something I've done. Yeah. I did Flash animation. Wow. I learned anime. So I mean, I've got these like bits and pieces of these talents, but I don't know if any of them have ever like surfaced. They all just kind of come to be like pieces of what this is, like making these shows and building the site. And
it's all become like that step kind of thing, like that progression kind of thing. And as you're talking about that, like it's clicking into my head that like you probably wouldn't know it now. And it's funny, I had a conversation yesterday with my mother about this. When I used to have really, really bad anxiety, and
still do.
Yeah, and every once in a while it'll try to come back, and I'll just I bite my nails and that kind of stuff, and they're not long, so I guess I still have some. But in university, that's when I started kind of trying to come out of my shell and pushing myself more and becoming a better public speaker. And that's when we were out at a bar once, and a couple of friends dared me to go up and sing something for karaoke, and I did, and they were like, "Holy crap, we didn't know you could sing." And I was like, "Holy crap, I didn't know either." Like did I actually do good there? So then I went back like the next week, and it was more encouraging, and then I started getting into more theater stuff, and then that kind of
so nobody at the bar yelled, "Boo, you suck, we don't want you to come to the band concert."
no, not that. But I've gotten that plenty in my life, actually, to the point that one of my really serious topic ideas was regarding bullying, because there's been some stuff that happened this week in my community that's anyway, I won't get into that. But that's a really serious topic that I thought I'd keep it a little lighter. But it's funny to see, like, now that you mentioned that, to think of the progression of all of that stuff and leading up to doing this show, and it doesn't have directly, like, it doesn't directly correlate to that. But as you say that, it's like that's the progression of this, and it's like that voice and those talents that I learned when I was in university that I grew in the public speaking and theater and doing some of that. And I got into some video production, and I got into radio and all that kind of stuff. And that has all led to kind of this podcast.
I mean,
this outward.
If YouTube hadn't existed in 2007, if my friend didn't say, "Hey, we're going to make a comedy series called Cameron Diaz but Hotter, covering pop culture news," with me being a complete idiot when I'm 12 years old, like, that progression would never have led to me going to college to say I'm going to learn how to do video editing. And maybe, great, I might not be the best person at it, but like this love and this passion to create these things is what has led to building what I hope is someday a really big podcast network. And like sure, that sounds like talk radio, and maybe talk radio is not exactly video production, right? But like those skills, like the editing skills and those things that I've learned, has built into this. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So, because you touched on something a little bit there, and I wanted to kind of roll into real quick. So, we all podcast, and your topic was like, why do you do it? Why do you keep doing it? Like, I've been doing it for 2 years, James 2.5, Mark 2, plus whatever he did prior to that. You've been going since you were born. Dave, the whole, I know,
came out with a mic.
Yeah,
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Myself,
Dacespace.com. Bam.
you know, for myself, I know the reason
Change my
why I
name.
continue is because I find it entertaining. I just find it fun. If I didn't do this, what would I be doing? Like, I'm not a drinker, so I wouldn't be in a bar. I don't like to gamble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like clubs. I don't like partying. I like to stay home. This is basically what it is. And for me, what keeps going for me, what keeps the drive, what keeps me coming back every single day and posting and doing 3 shows, God knows how many more. If Mark ever decides we're going to do Ink Strike, I guess we got 4.
I ran into Joe in the grocery store yesterday. We got to get something going.
Yes, I agree. And Dave's chomping at the bit to get us over here. So
I need all that, guys. I need all the previous Ink Strike information.
That said,
after the show.
What keeps me going personally is the comments, is the tweets, is the people that will be like, "Oh my God, I was listening to this and I love this show," and they'll tag me in a tweet or something like that. And like, that's the stuff that pushes me. It's not so much like we've all kind of come to the realization like podcasting is the worst thing you can go into if you want to make money. You can't make money on podcasting. You know, it's not going to happen unless you're a superstar or a celebrity that they're going to pay you the podcast.
Or you're lucky.
Yeah, or you're lucky. It's just not. It's not in the cards. You know what I mean? So for me personally, it's not about money. It's about loving doing this, and I enjoy doing it. And I just went and bought a new webcam today just so I can have a better presence and to take this to another level. And it's why do you do it? Because of those tweets, because of those comments. And you go on iTunes and you see someone left feedback, and it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like that's the stuff that gets me going. So I don't know what you guys. Go ahead. Somebody jump in.
Bobby, you've brought that up, and I it's true. Like there was something amazing about this community and the people who send us tweets and tag us and stuff like that. That is exhilarating and amazing. And I mean, I started Living Room Clutter, and I never thought that 700 people would be listening to that every week when we were talking about Rock Band and Guitar Hero in 2016. Like, no way did I ever think that would happen, but it did, right? But I also did a show for, like 4 years where nobody listened, where I had no listener feedback, where this thing was like this thing that I was doing just because I did it. It's really like this weird therapeutic kind of way. It's like I probably should go to therapy. I've got anxiety. I've got all sorts of like stress. Like I don't really like talking to people. Like phone calls completely freak me out. Like it's weird. I never want to order a pizza. Like I would never want to call the pizza place. I don't know why that freaks me out, but I can also pick up a Skype call and talk to Bobby about how he doesn't have his hyperlinks working on the site. Yeah. Like for some reason that doesn't bother me, right? Yeah. Like I don't know what that is, but like there's something about like being part of this community and talking every week and talking to John every 3 days a morning. Like there is a moment that I know is coming, and it's something to look forward to for me to like release like all these things that are actually bothering me. Like, come on, like I got like a nice slice on my foot from falling in the floor, and I'm dying to talk about it, but like nobody wants to hear about it.
There's a very entertaining story on your show, and you laughing through the entire thing was like the most hilarious part of it, because you have this like great laugh, and it's like this like the whole time I'm like, and I'm sitting here with a broken leg, or I'm sitting here and I dislocated my shoulder or something. Like I'm waiting for something bad to happen. And you're just like giggling your way through this story about falling through a hole in your basement and like this black mask growing from a toilet. Like it was the most ridiculous story. And you're giggling like you are right now.
Saved it for 2 weeks.
And it's so,
but the reality is like I'll go to work and like I'm a janitor at work. Like that's what I do. Like that is come on, like literally my job. And Bobby, I think this is probably a family-friendly show. I had to clean crap off the wall, literally, like as a job, right? So like I'm not really the happiest person outside of here. Like people always say the first time they get on a Skype call with me, like I love your smile, like you're always laughing. But like that is like a weird like this is how I feel when I'm doing this, and maybe that's why I do it. Yeah. And I don't care if anybody listens, but I love that there are people who do. Yeah. But I think that's what it is. So I got to tell these stories, but I got to tell it in a way where I feel good talking about it.
Yeah. And that,
I don't know.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I was and kind of go off what we've been talking about this whole time. I mean, as far as myself, I think also part of the reason for my acid reflux is I'm also a very stressful person. Like, and I've always had these jobs that have been very stressful. Where I was in sales for like 7 years, and like I don't like sales. I absolutely hate being in sales. I mean, because you have to just cold call people and go knock on their door, and people hate salespeople. Yep. And like I sold digital advertising for many years. I sold insurance. I sold business and home insurance for 3.5 years. And the jobs. I've had really good jobs and really bad jobs. I mean, I've had jobs where, especially in sales, where my boss, every week you have a meeting with your boss saying how you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And every week, if you don't get those numbers up, you're not going to be here. You don't get those, like, you're at 110% for this month, but right now you're at 70% for next month. You don't get that up, you're not going to be here. Like, constantly just, and that stress would build up in me. And being able to come on here and do a podcast, talk with friends, meet new people. Like, it's just, you're right. It's just a release. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how you can be yourself and just have fun. Like, there's nothing else like it. And then Bobby, kind of like what you were saying, like getting comments back of, the show slowly growing over time is great. But when you get comments back saying, I listen to you on my drive into work every week, and like just stuff like that. It's like,
the first yeah, exactly. It's the exact first response. Why is anybody listening to this? But I love this community. Yeah. I mean, I put up that show yesterday. I put up Forget Being Cool. There's already an iTunes review. Yeah. Like, that means the world to me. Yeah. There's somebody who cared about enough to do that.
And we announced the PlayStation or the Nintendo PlayStation podcast just this week, literally, and within an hour, someone sent me a message that I just reviewed your show. They listened to episode 0. They're reviewing it based upon their support from me and how much they love me and stuff. And Joel Brooks, shout out to you, man. That means the world, dude. That means the world that these guys do this stuff. And it's like, you don't understand what kind of compensation that is. Like, it's huge, And it's, dude, I can't speak highly enough about the community. Because I think we're all fortunate enough that, like, we've all been in this echo chamber, and I feel like when I started, it was me, Mark, James. Like, that's all I knew. That's all I knew for podcasting.
That's all you ever need, man.
And it's true. It's true.
Dave, come on now.
No. I didn't know Dave when I started. And when
but James said,
yeah. And
Bobby. The first time Bobby and I met, we met guesting. Both guesting is on the Nintendo Dads. And we were both arguing about how great Pokemon is. Yeah. That was the conversation. Yeah. So the first conversation I had with Bobby Pauls is that me and him disagree about how great Pokemon is. Yeah. Like, that's a thing. Okay.
Now let's flip that. Let's flip that. Who's gonna go buy Pokken Tournament and who's
nobody's gonna buy Pokken Tournament. Nobody needs it.
I am. Mark is. Zip your mouth.
I skipped it on Wii U specifically because I knew this was coming.
Yeah, me too.
But why'd I buy it for Wii U?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
See, if we met earlier, I could have warned you because I knew this was coming.
I rebought Mario Kart just because I knew this community was going to play it. Because I'm like, I've already done everything.
Except Mario Kart's a good game, James.
Right.
Oh, stop.
The tournament is mediocre.
It's okay. Sorry, I got this off on a tangent. My bad.
But my thing is I look at the community, and so when it started with me, and it was like this small little group, and that's all I knew. And then as things started to open up, I was always listening to James and Josh, and at the time Matt, and then Chris came on the show, and
that's when you stopped listening.
I love Chris. I love Chris, man. Although you like to make me and Chris fight, and that's fine. I get it. But so as the community started growing, and then what did it for me was, and what started to open it up for me, honestly, was the day that James had Sean Capri on his show. That was the first time I ever heard of Sean, and then I heard that episode, and I was like, you know what? I want to be on his show. Well, actually, what happened was when I listened, I go, this guy's really good, man. I want to go listen to his show. And Josh Brandt happened to be on there the week before. And I went and I listened to that episode, and I was like, dude, this show is amazing. This show is what I want to be a part of this. I reached out to Sean and I was like, hey, I'd love to be on your show if you don't mind. And he was like, absolutely. Can you do it this week? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And from
I have zero. This is the email I wrote to him. I'm like, I've been podcasting for a long time, and my real only credit is guesting on Unattended. Please let me be on the show that I really like listening to.
Yeah. When I went on that show, it was like boom. It opened it up for me because what happened with Sean's show is he's constantly got new people on every single week, and that's what you guys are starting to do it in the very beginning. James, was you guys are bringing someone different from the community in, and that's where I was learning about all these other people as well. But when Sean came on and I started to feel like it wasn't about video gaming, it was you got video gaming, but then you also got to hear about how someone lost a child during pregnancy and all these different stories that like I would message Sean and be like, you jerk off. You got me crying again in my office, man. Like, seriously, like, what is going on here,
Yeah.
And it's like, one week I'm crying and the next week I'm laughing, and it's like just craziness that where that show took me, and it opened us up to this community, and this community is phenomenal, dude. Like, when I look around at all the people, like, that was in that first Mario Kart tournament, right? That we all did, and we were all part of the Super Indie podcast group and stuff. And like that's what was the catalyst, what started this indie network that Dave is starting to build at Dacespace and stuff. Like after I saw that thing, I went to Sean. I was like, I'm going to go to Dave. I want If We Ran Nintendo to be over there. I want the Geekcast to be over there. And he's like, Sean flipped out. He's like, dude, I've been waiting for this forever. I've
been waiting for people to want that forever.
And I'm like, I went over to Dave and I was like, this is what I want to do. Let's do it.
I never wanted the site to be me. Like, not just me. Yeah. Like, I love podcasting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make 500 different shows before I die. Right?
You're pretty close to it.
But I'm getting there. There's about 12 canceled shows on the site.
Real quick, what I want to do before we end this show, because I don't want James to feel like left out, that we don't really touch this topic.
Why do we have to talk about James'
good conversation? I've enjoyed this.
This is good. This is fun. That's why I love this show, because it's totally different. But what I would like to do is, because I am kind of curious, if anybody has a movie franchise that they think has kind of overstayed its welcome. And
Justice League.
Dave Moore will never be back on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know.
The hosts will be currently looking for a new podcast service
we
host.
are going back to SoundCloud.
The host is seeking out hosting.
We are going back to SoundCloud starting next week. Be prepared. For me, there's a couple of movies that I felt... No. I want to get realistic here. There's a couple of movies that I felt should have stopped, and they didn't stop. And one kind of brought it back around, one didn't. And the first one is The Karate Kid. I loved the first and the second one. When the third one hit, I was like, okay, I like Karate Kid, but this is a bit much, And then they went to the next Karate Kid, and then they did one with Jaden Smith, and it just got worse. After 2, it just continually went down after that. But the franchise that I think that really kind of brought it back is the Rocky series. I felt like
I was going to bring up whether that is an example or not.
It's an example of bringing it back, because at 5,
I think Creed is really good.
Yeah. 3 was amazing. 4 was when it started to get a little unbelievable. It was a really great movie. 5 was just bad. And then Rocky Balboa wasn't that, or Rocky, I think they call it Rocky Balboa.
It's called Balboa, right? Yeah, Rocky Balboa,
yeah. And then the new one, but I love that now they're doing Creed. And it's still in the same universe. It's still in the same thing. It's like, they really brought it back, really wholeheartedly. And honestly, like, I'm a huge fan of Sylvester Stallone, from back in the day and all that stuff. And the one thing that I admired from him was he always hated 5. He felt like he dropped the ball with 5. He had a story he wanted to tell, and he messed it up. There's a story, if you read it, I read an article one time that he was talking about. He said, I had 2 directions I could have went with the Rocky franchise. I could have went with a rematch with Ivan Drago, a huge, big knockdown, drag-out thing. And he said, or I could have went with the story that I went with. And at the time, Don King was so big in boxing, and he felt like that was the story he wanted to tell, how King is corrupt in boxing, and that's the direction he went. And it just broke my heart, because I was like, man, this isn't. It became the franchise became unbelievable to me. How do you go from this guy who's got all this money, and then you just boom? But then you look at Mike Tyson and you go, makes sense. I get it now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, what about you guys? What's something?
Actually, one movie I just thought of while you were talking, a movie, because it just came out, and I'm like, why did they make this? The Mummy movies, right?
Yeah.
The Brendan Fraser one, right? The first one's really, really good. Yeah. The second one, no. The third one, really bad. And from what I expected, apparently the Tom Cruise one is terrible.
Is it really?
It's supposed to be. It's got a 20% on Metacritic. Like it's doing really low. And they said the main reason for this issue is they're turning the Universal monsters into its own universe called the Dark Universe, and this movie is supposed to set that up. And I'm like, why? Because if you remember, they tried to reboot Wolfman. They tried to reboot Dracula. Now they're trying to reboot The Mummy. It's just like, stop.
Yeah.
They're getting some talented actors joining this dark universe, though. Johnny Depp's the Invisible Man.
Oh yeah, because Johnny Depp is so talented.
Well, okay, so some big name actors, some big name. Javier Bardem, or whatever his name is. He is going to be Frankenstein's monster, I believe.
Can we just address the fact that like not every movie studio in the world needs to copy the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Right.
Like that's like we don't like all right, DC, you're about to get a pass. Okay, you're allowed to do this,
so
because guess what?
So Star Wars should stop, right? What you saying?
No, Star Wars is allowed to do it too, because Star Wars takes place in its own.
Just clarify. I just want to clarify. That's all.
Star Wars is its own thing.
Okay.
DC is its own thing.
Okay.
Marvel is its own thing. Yeah. Right. Except
I get what you're
Fox,
saying.
you got Fox screwing up the X-Men, but Logan's fantastic. But
and so is Deadpool. I'm wearing a Deadpool shirt.
Deadpool and Logan, but those are the only two good movies in that entire universe.
I still want to see Logan. I haven't seen that yet.
Man,
the point is they don't all need to do this.
Yeah.
They don't. All the Disney movies don't actually need to take place in a massive Disney universe. Like, that doesn't really need to happen. Like, it's okay for everybody to have their own castle and their own little world and do their own thing. Like, that is completely fine.
Yeah.
But none of them can do it. They got to make a monster universe. They got to make a people think Pixar's all in one universe, and part of me loves that theory, but it's not true.
My bigger issue is
it's a fun theory to read if anyone hasn't.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think the bigger issue, and I think that everybody feels it, but Hollywood just won't listen, is enough of the reboots. I don't need to see the Ghostbusters again with an all-female cast or an all-male cast. I don't need to see the Ghostbusters again. I'll go back and watch the 80s movies. I don't need to see the Karate Kid again. I don't need to see... There was rumors at one time, and thank God Robert Zemeckis shot it down, but they're talking about redoing Back to the Future. And we don't need these movies redone. Didn't need to see, all these different, like, Schwarzenegger movies redone again and all. Like, just move on.
Okay,
make a good story and go with it. You don't need.
But Bobby, there is an exception here. There's one exception. We need to make this very clear. If you are rebooting a movie to make it better, if you seriously can make a better version, then it's completely fine. Example: Power Rangers was so fun and so awesome.
I don't feel like I don't
see that too.
I don't feel like Power Rangers is a reboot.
But it is. It's a full reboot because it's the same characters from my childhood. It's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And what they did right was realize that Power Rangers, as it stood, was terrible. Yeah. Right? Like, Power Rangers from my childhood. I loved
Power Rangers as a kid, man. It was great.
But it's terrible and you know it.
But they just grew it up. That's all. They just grew it up and made it more adult.
But they still had fun with it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But they knew. But they took it and they made something that I would argue is better than anything we ever got as kids. Right? And if you can do that, if you seriously believe you can do that, that is an excuse for a reboot.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't
always think they have a reason to reboot it. And they're
No. Their reason is money, and they want to make money, and it will make money, and that's all that matters.
What I'm saying is that type of stuff I don't have an issue with. I have an issue with when they just take a popular movie from the 80s and go, we're going to do Miami Vice now. Why? Why are you doing this? We're going to do the A-Team now. Why? Leave it alone. There's no need for this stuff. We're going to do Baywatch now. Don't need it. 21 Jump Street. Don't need it. That type of stuff needs to go away.
I like 21 Jump Street.
I was just going to say, those movies were at least like stupidly entertaining.
Yeah, but they could have done... But see, that's the thing. That's what I feel. That wasn't 21 Jump Street, though. You could just take...
But that's fine, then.
No, you could just take that movie, make it a buddy cop type stupid comedy, and make it a franchise. Who knows? That might become a huge franchise. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like. I feel like you're taking away from the ability to create the next big franchises and all that stuff. It's just...
I feel like my example, and I love this series, don't get me wrong, James Bond, the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
And even Indiana Jones. I mean, like, look at the fourth one. I know they're trying to do another one.
Skull, man. Good stuff.
You know, and leave it at the trilogy, because I think the fourth one. I hope if they do it, like the only way I want them to do another Indiana Jones movie is if it's like a redemption movie, like you know, 1, 2, 3, skip 4, watch 5 kind of thing, and then retire it. But with Bond, you know, Spectre was kind of a parody of itself, referenced so many other Bond movies and didn't move too much forward. There's a little backstory there, but do you want that instead of action? And I look at something like Kingsman, which is going in that like smarmy old James Bond stuff, tons of gadgets, tons of like, you know, the little Q's lab basically kind of thing, and just that like that kind of stuff. So Bobby, when you say like take that idea and just turn it into something else, like I kind of want to see that, and I'm wondering if the same thing. People have been feel how you will about it, but I'm hoping that Tom Holland is a good Nathan Drake, and that franchise might be able to go and take over from Indiana Jones. I don't want an Indiana Jones reboot.
But
I want to see someone else go on those adventures.
Even if the Uncharted movies like get made, like they can't possibly be good. Like we all know this.
You never know.
Like,
you never know. Because
you never know.
Here's where the Uncharted movies can be good. If they did its own story. If they tried to copy the games, it's going to be garbage. You got to take it, and it's got to be its own story, like a young Nathan Drake or something like that. That's the only way it works.
Tom Holland signed that contract because that movie is going to make bank, even though it's going to be terrible, and he knows that he can just be Spider-Man the whole time. He doesn't actually have to ever be Nathan Drake again.
No, stop it. So that is all. Thank you guys for being here. This has been a good, fun conversation. I like this one. It's kind of different. Like every time we end
better
the
like
episode,
all of them,
like,
Bobby.
It's like
your show.
They're all
like,
wonderful.
Yeah, but it's different. Like, each time you get done, you get different vibes.
Episode 4, Bobby's just gonna finish the show. That is all. This sucked. Probably not gonna upload it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Delete.
Real quick before we end, Mark, again, tell everybody where they can follow you and check you out at.
You can find me weekly on the Warp Whistle podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Acast, everywhere. And I've been trying to get better at the YouTube thing. So if you listen to the show, if you like YouTube, hold me to that. Go on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Warp Whistle Gaming. And if I don't upload the YouTube version of the show by the Saturday, like I give myself basically Sunday, we upload the audio, and I give myself to the next Saturday. If I don't upload it, yell at me. Text me, message me on Facebook, get me at Twitter, _Warp Whistle, and keep me to it because I'm really trying. I really want to.
A lot of people listen to podcasts on YouTube. I'm just telling you that.
I know.
They do, but
that's
I
why I
don't.
want to keep to it.
I don't either.
And I don't either.
Again, you know what? I don't like voice chat, but that don't mean Nintendo shouldn't have voice chat. No. Dave, let everybody know where they can find you out, Dave.
I don't like ordering pizza. That doesn't mean that I don't really like pizza. Just let's bring this back around. Okay. Of course, you guys can check out Dacespace.com. It hosts all the shows. It's DACESPAC. It's on the host artwork. Come on, people.
Yes.
You know how to get there. Exactly. I do a ton of shows over there, but most importantly, I want you guys to check out all the shows there. But you guys got to listen to Forget Being Cool and Character Crunch.
Yes.
Every single week. And 3 days a week for Forget Being Cool. So that's a lot to ask of you as listeners. So, I mean, just remember that I get to talk about giant black masses coming out of toilets. So, it's amazing.
Not giant black masses coming out of toilets that you expect.
That's the quality of the show. That's the quality entertainment that you will get over at Dacespace.com.
Oh, good God. No. That's the quality of your show. Don't throw my show into with that stuff. My show's in with that stuff. James, let us know.
Show is the Black Mass.
Real quick, where we can find you guys at.
Sure. As I mentioned
Can't
earlier,
do a show called that.
Life of Gaming, you can find every Sunday on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Store, and the video version is up on YouTube. We also do other videos on YouTube occasionally, like The Break Room, and we also, which are kind of like breakout topics. And then every once in a while we have countdowns. When the Switch came out, we had the Road to Nintendo Switch. We did, top 10 countdowns of every Nintendo system. So, check out our YouTube page for more content. As I mentioned earlier, make sure to check out the Xbox Dive. That should be starting next week. And right now, I don't know if I should talk about the plan for it in case it doesn't go exactly as we hope it will. But expect it to go live next week. If you want a place to kind of, talk about Xbox, learn about different stuff going on with Xbox, have a great Xbox community to talk with, just check us out on Facebook and on Twitter at the Xbox Dive.
You can check out more of this show over at Dacespace.com, iTunes, not SoundCloud.
Stop it, Bobby. Stop.
Google Play. Listen, I've been doing it for 2 years,
so
man.
into
It
the
takes a little bit of time, man. Google Play, Acast. Check us out at YouTube to watch the video version of this. See you guys on the flip.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye. See you later. Bye. It might be easier to put drywall up, though. Let's be honest, guys.
Yeah, this is true.
Then I'll put wallpaper up, and then I'll paint over the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Keep doing that every time you paint the room. The room's just gonna get smaller and smaller and smaller. You're just gonna
Layers and layers of wallpaper.
Yeah.
Not even wallpaper. If you just put drywall up the whole time, it's just gonna.
I mean, knock this drywall out.
Oh, okay. just cover it right up.
Just put new drywall up over it.
Like the bath fitter approach.
Let's jump in. Let's get this thing going.
Podcast construction, the construction podcast, part of the Dacespace Podcast Network.
Don't make me kick you off the show, Dave. All
Starting
right?
next week, Warp Whistles are never going to be on there.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, we need variety. We're working on it.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Not every show can be about Nintendo.
Bobby, I'm sorry. You have to go through this right now.
This is nonsense, right? I'm about to kick both of these bastards off. Go have your own pocket. Me and James will do the host.
That's right.
All right.
Listen, Bobby, you told me it was going to start at 9. We got 3 minutes left
Yeah,
to goof around.
I'd rather get it rolling and get moving. And this way, if
It's not live. It doesn't matter when we start.
It matters when I start because I got a counter going here. Okay.
Just remember how many minutes are the counter.
Would you shut up? Every time I go to talk, I hear you talking. Stop it. Okay. This is worse than Alan and Toby, man. Like, what the hell, man? Alright. I gotta remember what I'm gonna say. Okay. What is up, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, and you are listening to The Hosts.